Hello, Mark. I'm Andy. My parents chided me for getting sunburned, but my blistered skin hurt a lot more than their scolding. Alice was right to chide me when I lazily threw the newspapers into the trash instead of stacking and typing them for recycling. For college formed a coalition to operate a shared center of higher education. A coalition of one sheriff, two horse thieves, three stagecoach robbers, and a couple of crooked gamblers once made up the government of Virginia City. Most students who work hard will eventually see results commensurate with their efforts. The expression "make the punishment fit the crime" means that the penalty should be commensurate with the degree of wrongdoing. For many of us, the word sea has a connotation of salty air and vast openness. Sayonara, the Japanese word for goodbye, actually means "if it must be so," and thus has connotations of sadness at parting. In the musical Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street, the barber is indeed diabolic. He kills his clients by cutting their throats, so that his friend Mrs. Lovett can make the victims into meat pies. The horror story featured open graves, walking corpses, and a diabolic villain who turned an entire town full of people into zombies. The dilapidated house must have once been handsome. Some of its broken windows are stained glass, and the loose door hinges are fine metalwork. His teddy bear is dilapidated, with its ears hanging by threads and the stuffing coming out. But the little boy won't let go of it long enough for anyone to repair it. Arguing seems to be an integral part of Laura and Nate's relationship. If they weren't fighting, they'd have nothing to say to each other. Voting is integral to democracy. Without free elections, a democratic system cannot continue to exist. When you are cleaning, never mix ammonia and bleach. The noxious gas they produce could land you in the hospital. The entire office building had to be evacuated when noxious fumes started coming out of the air vents and dozens of workers got sick. I've worked out an overall scenario for the movie, the screenwriter said, but I haven't gone beyond the basic plots. To help governments and industries plan for the future, experts sometimes develop scenarios describing what might happen in the next year or decade. Whenever I have a yen for a cigarette, I chew on a pencil instead. My yen for garlic bagel chips doesn't go away even after I've eaten a whole bagful. Noxious, harmful to life or health, poisonous. Scenario, a sequence of events that is imagined, assumed or suggested, diabolic, very cruel, wicked. demonic, chide, to scold mildly or express disapproval. Yan, a strong desire, craving, integral, necessary to the whole, belonging to the whole. Coalition, a union of individuals, groups, or nations for some specific purpose. Commensurate, corresponding in degree, number, or size in proportion. Connotation, a secondary meaning suggested by a word, in addition to the word's dictionary definition. Dilapidated, fallen into a state in which repairs are badly needed, broken down. The doctor chided Rick for not following her advice about switching to a low-fat diet. One Chinese emperor was so quick to have people executed that his officials always said their last goodbyes when they were summoned to the presence of their diabolic ruler. We may argue about whether character or plot is more important, but they are both integral to any novel. The New York Telephone Directory lists hundreds of different coalitions, including an action group for Korean American voters, Fairness to Africa, and a smoke-free city. Often, to satisfy a yen, I eat something sweet, only to find that the sweetness has produced an equally strong craving for something salty. I wish I could give you a grade commensurate with the excellence of your paper, the teacher said. Unfortunately, there is no such grade as a plus. Dictionaries usually don't give the connotations of words. These associated meanings become familiar to us only through experience. My parents always know when my friend Theo have been here because his dilapidated old car, which has a leaky radiator, leaves a puddle of water in the driveway. Cigarettes aren't bad only for smokers. Second-hand smoke is also noxious and can be harmful to everyone nearby. I had thought up several scenarios of how my widowed mother might marry again, but I never would have predicted what actually happened. She married my widowed father-in-law. When red M&Ms were discontinued, angry consumers chided the company and formed a coalition for the restoration and preservation of red M&Ms. The company hastily reinstated the red pieces. The developers who endangered the local water supply by dumping noxious waste in the landfill did not get a punishment that was commensurate with their reprehensible acts. They had to pay only a small fine. A dark, dilapidated old house in our neighborhood scares local children, who feel that the quiet, unfriendly owner is some sort of diabolic villain. The TV writer was distraught. The producer told me to shorten the scripts by cutting the deathbed scene out of my scenario. But how can I? It's an integral part of the story. While the word yen can refer to a strong desire for anything, to many people it has the specific connotation of a sharp longing for a particular food. Discomfort was such an integral part of my childhood Halloweens that I wouldn't have recognized the holiday without it. In retrospect, I think I must have been a Massachusetts as a Dutch girl. I limped from door to door in crippling wooden shoes. As a vampire with sharp fangs, I cut my lower lip every time I said trick or treat. Even today, the word Halloween carries for me connotations of physical misery. My connotation for the perfect Halloween encompassed not only scaring others, but also frightening myself, so I was willing to approach even the most scary-looking houses, once sure to be haunted or to belong to diabolic witches, with ragged widows, creaking steps, and loose shutters banging in the wind. Even scarier than those places, however, were the collision of high school students. At any moment, their scans might corner me and demand, "Your candy of or your life. I might die if I refuse to relinquish my baby Ruth." Hershey's Kisses and Three Musketeers. My candy haul was always disappointing, never commensurate with what I had suffered on my rounds. In addition, as soon as I returned home, my parents would order me to throw out all unwrapped candy, since it might contain some noxious substance, even poison. By then, of course, I had built up a powerful and indiscriminate yen for candy, any candy at all, so I would stuff myself with the loot that remained, and then be chided for getting sick. The Ride. One nightclub comedian derides members of the audience, poking fun at their looks, clothing, and mannerisms. He says they know it's just part of the act. Walter went down a dice after several classmates derided him by calling him Lardo and Blimpy. Lorenzo's derogatory remark about his boss. He called her an airhead, caused him to get fired. Carice makes derogatory comments about Kareem behind his back, saying that he'd been sloppy and lazy. But she never says such things to his face. Supermarket tabloids often fabricate ridiculous stories, such as "boy is born wearing green sneakers." When she handed in her term paper late, Diane fabricated a story that her computer had crashed. The truth is that she doesn't even use a computer. Impending. Gary never studies until an exam is impending. If he'd start sooner, he wouldn't have to cram so hard. Because of the company's impending move, the office manager said, I'm not ordering any supplies until next month, when we'll be in the new office. Macabre. Edgar Allan Poe's story. The Fall of the House of Usher is a macabre tale in which someone is buried alive. The movie opened with a macabre scene, a row of bodies lying in drawers in the city morgue. Misconstrued. Conchita would like to date Matt, but when she told him she was busy last weekend, he misconstrued her meaning, thinking she wasn't interested in him. Many readers misconstrue Robert Frost's well-known line, "Good fences make good neighbors." They think it's Frost's own opinion, but the line is spoken by an unneighborly character. When you are driving on rain-slick, icy, or winding roads, good traction is of paramount importance, so always be sure your tires are in top condition. Paramount Pictures must have chosen its name to suggest that its movies were superior to all others. Bonita was in quandary. She couldn't decide whether to return to school, take a job she had just been offered, or move to Alaska with her family. Aaron is in a quandary over financial matters. He is baffled by the problems of making a budget, handling credits, and paying taxes. The turbulent air made the plane rock so wildly that passengers felt as if they were on a roller coaster. The Warreners' household tends to be turbulent. Whenever Mr. Warrener gets upset, he yells and throws things. Many people believe Columbus sailed west to validate the theory that the world is round, but in 1492 the fact that the world is round was already well known. There is no real doubt about the dangers of smoking. The claim that smoking is a serious health risk have been validated by many studies. Turbulent, full of wild disorder or wildly irregular motion, violently disturbed. Macabre, suggestive of death and decay, frightful, causing horror and disgust. Quandary, a state of uncertainty or confusion about what to do. Predicament. Derogatory, expressing a low opinion. Belittling. Validates, to show to be true, proof. Misconstrue, to misinterpret, misunderstand the meaning or significance of. Deride, to make fun of. Ridicule. Fabricate, to make up a story, information, in order to deceive, invent a lie. Impending, about to happen, imminent. Of greatest concert or importance, foremost, chief in rank or authority. Mel has an macabre hobby. He visits places where murders were committed. We had skipped dinner in order to get to the play on time, so throughout the performance, food, not the drama, was paramount in our thoughts. Misconstrued. Delia misconstrued my girl's friendliness as romantic interest. She didn't realize that he already had a girlfriend. When my friend said her teacher was different, I wasn't sure if he meant the description to be com- complimentary or derogatory. Dwayne didn't show up for the final exam because he hadn't studied, but he fabricated story about having a flat tire. In the psychology class, the students had an interesting team assignment. They had to make some statement about human nature and then validate it by finding supporting evidence. Yvonne is in a quandary over his car. He doesn't know whether to get his old car the major repairs it desperately needs, take out a loan and buy his dream car, or spend the money he has on another used car he doesn't like. The sun may seem to be shining calmly and steadily, but in fact, nuclear reactions inside the sun are causing a seething mass of turbulent flames. A critic once derided a book he disliked by saying, "This is not a novel to be tossed aside lightly. It should be thrown with great force." Many surfers prefer turbulent water to more uniform waves. Their paramount goal is excitement, and they get a feeling of exhilaration from confronting a dangerous situation. I was in a quandary over whether to study, practice the piano, or go to a movie with my friend Sal. To complicate things further, Sal wanted to see a macabre horror film, and I dislike anything gruesome. When the evidence does not validate their theories, scrupulous researchers will report this honestly, but that's cons- but less conscientious researchers will flout scientific ethics and fabricate fake results to appear to prove their theories. With the trial impending, the defense lawyer tried to forestall negative news stories by asking for a gag order. The lawyer argued that if derogatory stories about his client's character were punished, the trial would be a travesty of justice. When Craig called Peggy the perfect secretary, she was offended. He was complimenting her, but she misconstrued his comments, thinking he had derided her by saying she belonged in a subordinate position. Did you hear that Kmart sells sweaters with baby snakes inside? The story, of course, was untrue, but it was not easy to squelch. How do such rumors get started? Sometimes they are fabricated. In the case of the Kmart rumor, the story was actually fraudulent. Someone had deliberately made it up and disseminated it to discredit the store. Often, though, a rumor starts with an innocent misinterpretation. For instance, when a magazine article drew an analogy between a worm farm turning out bait and McDonald's turning out hamburgers, some readers misconstrued this to mean that McDonald's was grinding up worms in its burgers, and the preposterous stories spread. Rumors about individuals can start when someone makes a derogatory statement or derisks someone else. Out of razor of jealousy, Josie got an A because she is dating Professor X, or L isn't in class today. He left town because he knew his arrest for being a peeping Tom was impending. Even a noodle, something that's merely hinted at, can start a rumor. Josie and Professor X are really quite discreet, aren't they? No story is too gruesome to make the rounds, not even the macabre tale of the girl whose beehive Herdo housed a black widow spider, which eventually burrowed into her brain and killed her. Once a rumor gets started, people who hear it are sometimes in a quandary. Even if there's nothing to corroborate the rumor, they may be afraid to ignore it, and so there is a proliferation of rumors, spreading fear, damaging reputations, and turning calm situations into turbulent ones. To stop or forestall rumors, one thing is probably of paramount importance. Before accepting any story, be sure the facts validated. The right. One nightclub comedian derised members of the audience, poking fun at their looks, clothing, and mannerisms. He says they know it's just part of the act. Walter went on a diet after several classmates derided him by calling him Lardo and Blimpy. Lorenzo's derogatory remarks about his boss, he called her an airhead, caused him to get fired. Charles makes derogatory comments about Karim behind his back, saying that he's vain, sloppy, and lazy, but she never says such things to his face. Fabricates. Supermarket tabloids often fabricate ridiculous stories, such as boy is born wearing green sneakers. When she's handed in her term paper late, Diane fabricated a story that her computer had crashed. The truth is that she doesn't even use a computer. Gary never studies until an exam is impending. If he'd started sooner, he wouldn't have to cram so hard. Because of the company's impending move, the office manager said, "I'm not ordering any supplies until next month, when we'll be in the new office." Edgar Allan Poe's story, The Fall of the House of Usher, is a macabre tale in which someone is buried alive. The movie opened with a macabre scene, a row of bodies lying in drawers in the city morgue. Kushida would like to date Matt, but when she told him she was busy last weekend, he misconstrued her meaning, thinking she wasn't interested in him. Mary readers misconstrue Robert Frost's well-known line, "Good fences make good neighbors." They think it's Frost's own opinion, but the line is spoken by an unneighborly character. Paramounts. When you are driving on rain-slick, icy, or winding roads, good traction is of paramount importance, so always be sure your tires are in top condition. Paramount Pictures must have chosen its name to suggest that its movies were superior to all others. Quandary. Bonita was in a quandary. She couldn't decide whether to return to school, take a job she had just been offered, or move to Alaska with her family. Aaron is in a quandary over financial matters. He is baffled by the problems of making a budget, handling credits, and paying taxes. Turbulence. The turbulent air made the plane rock so wildly that passengers felt as if they were on a roller coaster. The Warreners' household tend to be turbulent. Whenever Mr. Warrener gets upset, he yells and throws things. Many people believe Columbus sailed west to validate the theory that the world is round, but in 1492, the fact that the world is round was already well known. There is no real doubt about the dangers of smoking. The claim that smoking is a serious health risk has been validated by many studies. Okay, this is the end of today. Bye, Mark.